It's Thursday, February 19th. It feels like it's been forever since we've had a talk, but it's only been a week. We didn't have a show on Monday, so there's no SJHL Weekly earlier this week. So we have a lot to talk about during today's show of SJHL Insider. I'm your host, Clark Munroe, here at the IKS Media Studios. Again, it's going to be a great show. We have a whole weekend to break down, plus 4 games on Monday and 1 on Wednesday last night. So we'll get you updated with all of those, plus a look at the playoff picture, because it is continuously wild. It's not slowing down. It's getting crazier, if anything. So we'll get you up to date on that. Since we missed the show on Monday, we'll tell you about Players of the Week and our Highlight of the Week, among some other things throughout the show, but that'll be a big thing we'll get to. And we're going to be joined later on. This is a very, very fun alumni look, a check-in, I should say, for us today. Nugsy set it up, but big shout-out to Caleb Dahlgren, Humboldt Broncos alumni, of course, author, doctor, Notre Dame Hounds alumni. We'll say that. Public speaker. Inspiration 2000s. So we'll talk to Caleb Dahlgren a little bit later on the show. Very excited to chat with him. Just got back from the Olympics. So lots to talk about there and a whole lot more. So let's get into it now, but let's start with our sponsors. And we'll start with thanking Canterra Seeds, Canalta Hotels, Capital Auto Mall, SGEU, Sask Lotteries, UPL, which of course UPL is the sponsor of all of our shows and broadcasts and all those things. So shout out to UPL, Chevrolet, Great Western Brewing Company, aka Original 16, Sastel, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, and Vaterstad. And this guy, again, I just gave him a shout out a second ago for helping with the Caleb Dahlgren situation, but thank you, Jamie Neugebauer, co-host of the show. We had Monday off, Nugsy, with Family Day, of course, which means we have a lot to talk about today. But first off, Olympics this week, where's your head at right now? There's so much going on.
Yeah, well, the women just scored to open the scoring shorthanded. O'Neill there for Canada made it 1-0.
Oh, baby.
In the game where Canada has believed, I think, the least in a Canadian national team to win a gold medal game,
right,
I think, ever, but they have a 1-0 lead in the second. But anyways, dating myself with this recorded podcast.
You're dating yourself?
I have, yeah, well, you got to date yourself. If you're not going to date yourself, then who will?
Who will?
Look. It has been a really fun Olympics.
Yeah.
The medals are starting to kind of come in. My girls have loved it, and I posted this on my social media, but for whatever reason, my daughter Miriam now hates the country of Switzerland.
Right.
We don't really know why.
The hardest country to hate in the world.
But yeah, there's like well, anyways, we can get into that another time.
Yeah.
But say there's like a skier on, or like there's a game, and she's like, oh, look at that. I'm like, oh, she's from Switzerland. She's like, ugh. And I'm like, that's the funniest thing ever. So there you go. Miriam and Switzerland do not mix.
That's hilarious. Oh, that's great. And yeah, so for those who don't know, as we're recording this show, as Nugsy just mentioned, Canada, the women's gold medal game, of course, Canada just scored to make it 1-0 right at the beginning of the second period. So super cool stuff there. By the time you're listening to this, the game will be over. So I was going to be like, you know what? We'll keep them updated, Nugsy, throughout the show. But they'll know what the result is, I'm sure, by the time they actually listen to the show.
Updated.
We'll keep ourselves updated for sure. So again, before we get to the hat trick, which is our big topic of the last few days, we have to talk about the weekend because we had no show on Monday. So with that in mind, let's start with the Players of the Week, and then we'll look at the Highlight of the Week, and then we'll look at the scores from the weekend. We'll just quickly glance at all the scores, but here's the Players of the Week. So we'll start with the SGEU MVP of the week. And Nugsy, this guy is back with a vengeance after missing a couple of games with injury. He had 5 goals in 3 games, a huge weekend for you and Rennie of the Estevan Bruins. They had a big couple of wins on the weekend, and we'll get into that in a second. The Borgo Forward of the Week, Josh Sale of the Weyburn Red Wings, 7 points. I believe it was 4 games. Yeah, there we go. 4 goals, 3 assists, and 7 points in 4 games. Josh Sale, big performance from there, and a big driver of offense for the Weyburn Red Wings, who had a interesting weekend as well. We'll talk about that again in a sec. Super U Defenseman of the Week, Bo Eisner of the Melfort Mustangs, 6 points. Nugsy, the guy who's not only just one of the best shutdown defensemen in the league, just casually throwing up 6 points over the weekend.
And I hear he's getting all sorts of U Sports interests right now.
I would bet.
He's beating them off with sticks.
I would bet.
Yeah.
Maybe just accept one of them. You don't have to fight them off.
Yeah.
The Sastel goalie of the week, Kaysen Kabelka of those Melfort Mustangs. He had 2 wins, a 1.0 goals against, and a .962 save percentage. Shout out to Kaysen, one of the best young goalies in our league for sure. Sask Milk rookie of the week, We went with Brett Buckley of the Yorkton Terriers. 4 points in 4 games, point per game for a defenseman. Not easy to do, especially as a rookie.
Yeah. Playing with Tyler Palin probably helps.
Yeah, for sure.
He'd be the first to admit that.
Getting lots of ice time, but with now that they have Tyler Palin and Gavin Bartha and Tommy Reese and all those guys, it's a stacked blue line. So for him to get all those points and
Nathan
all
Gray,
who
when he was called up by Swift Current, got in touch with Austin Mattis, of course, the Swift Current's broadcaster, former Battleford's broadcaster.
Right.
And Austin Mattis messaged me saying, Nathan Gray's here, and he said he wants to come on a show.
Well,
and I was like, well, thanks for watching the show. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And then finally, the Cantera Seeds Saskatchewan Player of the Week, Owen Nelson. 4 goals in 4 games, 6 points. Again, just another one in the long line. I think, has everyone on their team gotten an award this year?
Pretty much.
It seems like it.
It is nice how much Wiley, Riendo, and them have really built through Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
A lot of their kids are Saskatchewan there in Battleford. So
well, that's a bit of an advantage when it comes to awards time each week, is that they have so many Saskatchewan
lots of people
players.
They got rookies, they got D-men.
So, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink to all the coaches across the league. If you want your players to get more awards, give them more opportunities in terms of the categories, but of course we're doing very good at that. I shouldn't say that. It shouldn't make it sound like our league's not doing that. I think our league's doing very good at the whole Saskatchewan numbers thing. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, but there you go. There's the players of the week. So we got you caught up there. Let's have a look at the highlight of the week now from last Friday. The Melfort Mustangs got a big overtime win against the Humboldt Broncos, and it was Drew Mushimansky finishing off a beauty.
Cox gets it for Mushimansky. Across. Cox back to Mushimansky. Scores! Drew Mushimansky! Friday night hero! Mustangs win it! 3-2 in overtime!
A great call there by Benny Tompkins. And of course, Nugsy, we were talking about this before the show. Depending on how you look at that clip, it was a little bit more impressive if you would have started it a little bit farther back. There was a bit of a passing play that started it all off. But I think the level of difficulty on that, because I don't know who passed the puck there. Was it Danton Cox? He was not passing it to Drew Mushimansky. He was passing it towards the player who was driving towards the net, who I think was Tristan Ziola. And it went off a skate to Drew Mushimansky. So the level of difficulty there was pretty good if you think about it that way. A nice tic-tac-toe to finish it off.
Mushimansky scored, I think, with 0.3 seconds left in the game, too, to tie it. So just a couple real dramatic games there for between Melfort and Humboldt. And if you're a Broncos fan, neither of them went your way.
Not what you wanted for that weekend. However, the standings remain really tight, and we'll talk about that momentarily. But you know what, boys? I think it's time for the hat trick.
Where's the video of the guys in the back dancing?
Jordan probably doesn't know how to switch it over. Jordan. He wasn't ready. Jordan's he's an AP. He's an affiliated player today, called up in the absence of Bryce Aschenbrenner, our normal director, and Steven's on graphics today. So, or they just didn't want to be on today.
Jordan did his hair all nice and everything.
He did. He's looking sharp.
Looking real sharp.
Yeah, looking sharp back there. Anyways, it is topic number 1 of the hat trick. Of course, what we usually do is we go over the recent, usually it's a Monday, Tuesday, or a Tuesday, Wednesday by the time we do this show. But we have a whole weekend we didn't get to talk about. So what we'll do is we'll do a quick glance at the scores from the weekend. We'll just talk about that really quick, and then we'll dive in a little bit deeper to Monday and Wednesday's games. But let's have a look back at last Friday now. On the Sask Lotteries look back, of course, the Elk Ridge scorecard. Shout out to Elk Ridge. So back on Friday, this is almost a week ago here. Weyburn got a 5-2 win over Melville, and Nugsy, keep that in mind, because there was a bit of revenge had earlier this week. We'll talk about that later. Yorkton with a 7-2 win over Warman. Battleford's with a 5-1 win over LaRange. Kindersley with a 4-1 win over Flin Flon. Now, this is interesting because I did say in SJHL game day leading up to that day, that game day, I should say, that Kindersley, despite facing a very hard opponent in Flin Flon, they actually shouldn't feel that unconfident because Flin Flon's road record is much much worse than their home record. They're still I think they were 13-9-1 or something going into the game, so still very good.
Yeah.
But they're not undefeated as they are at home. So Kindersley fans should feel a little bit of confidence, and then they go ahead and win 4-1. So huge shout out to the Clippers on that one. Then, as you just mentioned, Newsy, you just alluded to this, the Melfort Mustangs with a 3-2 win over Humboldt. Kicked off a really interesting weekend between those two teams. On Saturday, the Estevan Bruins got a really, really important win for them, 4-3 over Yorkton. The Melville Millionaires got 6-1 win over Warman. Weyburn beat Nipawin 3-2, and that was a Nipawin. They were going down south for a little southern road trip there. Didn't go their way. We'll talk about that in a sec. Melfort with a 2-1 win over Humboldt again between the two horses. Melfort got both wins that weekend. Flin Flon got a little revenge over Kindersley on Saturday with a 4-1 win, and then Battleford's another big win over LaRange. They just played each other the night before as well. And then on Sunday, as I mentioned about Nipawin, something just exploded beside me. I'm not sure what that was. I think we're good. We're all safe. We're alive. Estevan with a 5-2 win over Nipawin. That was, again, very important for Estevan. Nipawin's doing okay, though. They're at the top of the standings, so it didn't really hurt them at that moment, but really big for Estevan. So there's the weekend, Nugsy. Before we dive into Monday and Wednesday, what are your thoughts from the weekend? Just maybe kind of around the league, biggest headlines for you, whatever you want to talk about. Your time is now.
Yeah, lots to say, obviously, if we had time. But anyways, Flin Flon, you mentioned it. They were 15-0-1 in 16 games. That's pretty good. Hadn't lost in regulation in 16 games.
Right.
So, that's obviously big news. They're still perfect at home. They're still looking for that perfect home season, which, is still awesome to see. There's lots you could get into. Yorkton stays hot, but found a way to lose it. But, I mentioned it and I wrote my articles. I can't really remember a team, definitely not this year, where a team needed a win more than the Estevan Bruins did. Those two games against, by the way, two white-hot teams.
Right.
In Yorkton and Nipawin.
They weren't slouches by any stretch. They
came in and they elevated. I watched a couple of those, especially definitely, broke it down a bit. And, Ethan Andrews was awesome in all three zones. The ice, he scored. Obviously I'm a big fan of his for many reasons on and off the ice. And then obviously to get Ewan Rennie back, you can't quantify, is he the best player in the league? I think there's a great argument. And 5 goals in 2 games against 2 teams that, again, we've talked about it. Definitely Nipawin have kept pucks out. Yorkton has also done a great job keeping pucks out. 5 goals in 2 games. Did he have a chip on his shoulder after coming back from that hit? And by the way, the guy who hit him, Ryder Knutson, hasn't come back since that game.
Right.
So
interesting little side note there.
I don't know what to make of that, but either way, it was a big weekend for Estevan.
Big weekend for Estevan. And like you mentioned, 2 hot teams that the Bruins were able to beat, and Yorkton had their number all year. And I think, were they on an 8-game win streak going into that game, I think, as well, if I'm not mistaken?
Yorkton had a 7
or 8, 7 games at least. So, anyways, the 2 hot teams, Nipawin, of course, the other one. So, big weekend for Estevan for sure. The one thing that I'll talk about now, but I think it actually only happened on Monday night, but Battleford's clinched the Nutrien division. The Nutrien division. So they're the first team to clinch a division. They're not even in first place, but because of the way the division standings work, we'll talk about that in a sec, they've actually clinched the Nutrien division. Flin Flon clinched a playoff spot, a week and a half ago now. But they have not yet clinched their division because Nipawin's much closer in the standings, so they still have a shot to maybe climb above them in the standings. But shout out to Battlefords for clinching a division title.
Yeah, it's very cool. I mean, obviously, the amount of sustained success that organization has is over the decade, over the last, this millennium, you could even say, has been quite impressive. Obviously, you talk to Jake Rocket and the people that have been around for a long time in Battlefords, and they'll say, I remember a time when we weren't good. And I'm like, well, I don't. I really don't. So, it was interesting at the start of this year. Remember, we were talking, Clark, about what will this Battleford's team be like? Will their fans stick with them if they're having a hard time? Because it's a fan base that's so used to great success.
Yeah.
And, well, I guess we still won't find out yet.
And
Because Connor Logan and Wiley Riendo, obviously Owen Lamb is a terrific assistant coach.
Yeah.
In our league, assistant coaches don't get big enough shout-outs, and Owen Lamb is awesome. For them too. And, those boys, obviously Anthony Campbell, what a competitor he is. Gavin Granger, what a competitor. How much does Battleford's matter? Do the North Stars matter to Gavin Granger? Like, I could see that so clearly at the Viking Cup, just talking to him, being around him. He was happy to win, and he was happy to do everything he could for the SJ to win the Viking Cup, but bringing a championship back to Battleford's means absolutely everything
Love
to
that.
Gavin Granger, and that was so clear to hear.
And it's such a cool story. And again, we've talked about this a couple times throughout the year at different points of the season. But as of I want to say November, it was Humboldt or Kindersley that was going to win that division.
Thought.
At that point, did not give Battlefords a chance to win the division. It was close enough, but there was no shot that I thought that they would run away with it like they have. And of course, it doesn't hurt that Humboldt kind of cliff dived a little bit there before the trade deadline, and Kindersley went through a rough patch. It didn't hurt Battlefords that happened. But they got to win the games that are in front of them, and boy, have they been impressive this season, start to finish, really, honestly. And like we mentioned, every week, it's a new player winning a weekly award. It's a case study. I feel like somebody needs to study this year's Battleford's North Stars team. It's really impressive. But let's have a look, Nugsy, at the Sask Lotteries look back now for the games that happened this actual week, the Elk Ridge scorecard. Coming up for Monday. We'll start with the Melfort Mustangs with a 4-3 overtime win over Warman. Of course, this was family day. All these were afternoon games. So this one was at 2, and then the next two were at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock for that last one. The Yorkton Terriers on the road got a 6-4 win over Humboldt, which moved them at that time into third place, because I think they were either tied with Nipawin or it was close at least. But now they are firmly in third place. Well, not firmly. They're only 2 points up right now. But at the time, after this game on Monday, they were 4 points up. We'll get to that in a sec. Why? Melville. Remember I mentioned the Weyburn Red Wings got a big win over Melville on Friday? Well, Melville remembered, and they got an 8-4 win over the Weyburn Red Wings on Monday night or Monday afternoon. A big win for them. And then the Battleford's North Stars, I think this is actually when they clinched their division, but a 4-2 win over division rival Kindersley Clippers on Monday night. And then on Wednesday, a huge win for the Nipawin Hawks, 8-1. They put the boots to LaRange a little bit. It was close for the first period. It was a good game, and then kind of got away from LaRange a little bit, and Nipawin took advantage. So big win for Nipawin. So let's, I think, how do we want to do this? Let's dive into the games, because we have the highlight packs for them for Mondays at least. So let's have a look at Monday's games. We'll start with the Melfort Warman overtime 4-3 overtime win for Melfort. That was a big win for Melfort. They've been having a lot of big wins lately, 6 in a row. They aren't losing right now, which is making it tough. I'm sure all the teams around them in the standings are like, Melfort, can you please go away? But Melfort's like, nah, bro, we're not going away.
Nah, bro.
So 6 straight wins, 8 in their last 10 for Melfort. Nobody told them that they weren't going to make the playoffs. They're doing their best. So I guess what were your thoughts on the Melfort Warman game from
it was
Monday?
First of all, it was a really nice tribute, I guess, to the career of Vinnie Palmerine. It was the graduating players night there, or day, I guess, in day game there in Warman.
Yeah,
but the only graduating player on Warman was Vinnie Palmerine. So the whole thing was about Vinnie. But Brianna obviously does an awesome job up there, and obviously Vinnie's a good buddy of mine. So I was happy to see him get recognized.
Very nice.
Look, it's kind of the way that these two teams have gone. I would say a lot of this second half of the year, maybe slowish start. For Melfort, they're still the worst first period team in the league, believe it or not, the Melfort Mustangs. But they have had so many late comebacks, find a way to win a hockey game. Obviously, a couple penalty problems there late in the game for Warman, and Melfort had 8 power plays. That's 3 for Warman in this game, and that's just the way it goes. And the indiscipline from Warman has been a problem for them. They just can't also seem to get the save when they need it. I think that's also been a thing, but it's a young team for Warman. We've talked about that. But this Melfort team, they've never stopped believing. I asked, a couple of guys, like, what's the deal? What's the situation with them turning the switch? Did you see there Noel Englot getting the tying goal? What's going on there? And they're like, nothing really, just sticking to it and finding a way. And, I think there's that piece of it. And again, the power play was really anemic a lot of the year, and I think they've really found something. I think they've really found something in giving Danton Cox a really big role.
He's
in
really
a lot of
jumped
ways.
up in the last couple months.
Back on the blue line, and obviously we talked about that Humboldt game. What an advantage, especially in a 3-on-3 situation, to be able to put two forwards and Denton Cox out there, because he can think as a forward, he can think as a D, and he's done that a bunch, and they just are starting to find a way and keep the same lines together and keep it consistent and getting contributions. From places where, quite frankly, they probably were expecting to get contributions earlier in the year. And you think about, like Imu Shumansky, and obviously knowing what came at the deadline, Luke McKenzie, doing just whatever your role is. Yeah. Do your role and be a lead in it. And I think the Melfort Mustangs have figured that out finally. So that's good.
Yeah, it's funny. We made a pretty big deal out of a trade that happened earlier in the year, Bryson Akins to Kindersley for Austin Ashovi. And I, in my head, was like, oh, you know what? Melfort really needs a really solid power play quarterback, kind of puck-moving defenseman. Austin Ashovi seems like a perfect fit. Who knew that they had that answer on their team the whole time? He was just playing forward, Denton Cox, like, it's a pretty cool story. And I remember we talked to Trevor Blevins not that long ago, and he kind of mentioned how, he's just such a great tool to have on your roster.
And, like, what we've seen from Danton, too, is just a real elevation when the games really get tough.
Sure.
Like the Centennial Cup in Oakville, Denton was awesome. Like, so good. Like, he was so clutch.
Yeah.
And then kind of down a bit of a roll last year, obviously on a super team that didn't break a sweat, it seemed like, all year. But then, then when they needed him in a moment, he was always there for them. And he's having a really good year. He's got 25 assists.
Yeah.
Already, so he's a big piece.
And he was very close to winning Defenseman of the Week. Was it last week or the week before? I think he had 6 points. I think it was the week that Vinny won 2 weeks ago, because they both had 6 points.
But just like, instead of saying go, and I'm sure this is something that obviously Trevor Blevins could obviously talk better to. But this idea of so what, Caleb Binner, that you're 20, so what that you're Nolan Patterson, so whoever. Whatever your job is, do that job. Your job, just because you're 20, isn't necessarily to always be pitching in offensively and to score those goals, even though it's what you want. But be elite at your job first. Yep. And these guys, for the most part, have done that. It's all come together because of that embracing of whatever your role is. And I think that's been a big piece for Melfort.
Yeah, and I think, remember a few weeks ago now, we talked to Zayden Saddlemeyer, and he kind of echoed that exact sentiment. So that's great. That's a great point.
And obviously Zayden's an absolute animal.
Yeah.
What an animal.
Good player.
Big fan.
The Yorkton Terriers got a 6-4 win over Humboldt, Nugsy, on Monday. Let's have a look at those highlights now. This was a big one for Yorkton. Again, it put them into third place. It gave them a bit of a cushion at the time on third place. Humboldt really needed that win, but at the same time, they're only 2 points out of a playoff spot. Again, they would have been tied if they would have won that game, but Yorkton had a little bit of revenge to take care of. They lost on the weekend, which was out of the ordinary for them. Yeah. They're 9-1 now in their last 10 games, Yorkton. But Humboldt is 6-4. It was a good game. It was an interesting game, I should say. Humboldt, you can see here during the highlight pack, had a 3-1 lead at one point. So it probably hurts a little bit, stings a little bit that they lost this one. As you can see now, 4-2 lead. So Yorkton got a little hot at the end, came back and kind of soured the game for the hometown Humboldt Broncos in this one, Nugsy. But what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, again, you talk about the cardiac kids lately for the Melfort Mustangs. The Yorkton Terriers have been the cardiac kids all year. And obviously, the firepower that they bring to bear, which has been really augmented by the extra firepower on the back end.
Right.
I mean, we all talk about, is this team offensively good because they got a lot of good forwards? But having that fourth guy in, especially in this day and age, that guy with confidence like a Tyler Palin, like a Gavin Bartha back there, makes such a huge difference.
I think we all knew how good Tyler Palin was going to be. How good has Gavin Bartha been though?
Good,
wow, has he been good?
And you know what? Yeah, like, I mean, I think people that knew him, and I talked to Benny Walchuk about him when Yorkton got him, because obviously Benny's very familiar with him from the Manitoba League. And,
right. Swan Valley.
Just skill and confidence on the puck and makes plays. Not the fastest guy, big body. I'm like, well, it's just Easton Adrian. And obviously, whenever Easton Adrian did play in our league, he did very, very well. It was, it's other things, I guess, that was the problem, but we don't have to go there. But Bartha obviously seemed like a terrific kid, and he's been a terrific fit.
Yeah.
But yeah, this Yorkton team is never out of a hockey game because most nights, and you know what, like, again, there's a lot of great players in our league, and if someone gets upset about this, then I'm sorry, but most nights the Yorkton Terriers touch the ice. Gabriel Courchain is the best player on the ice. Like, that's just the reality. And when you think about it, if you have the best player in that game, obviously either Courchain or Tommy Reese, flip the coin there.
Yeah.
Like whenever you have that type of situation, you're never out of a hockey game.
Yep.
Nobody in the league in net has more wins than Callum Craig. He's got 22. But again, it's not even surprising to me that the Terriers rallied like that because they've been doing that all year.
Well, I think what you just said about Melfort really applies well, I think, to Yorkton too. Like, know your role, do your job, because the top line in Yorkton is so dangerous and so elite this year that you look at a guy like a third line, and I mean, it changes a little bit, but like Evan Auld, Tylen Hendrickson, McDonald, like some of the guys that they have that play in that third line, that bottom six, they do so good at their job that it allows those guys who are the Cash Lanigans and the Vinny Juniks in the second line and then that top line to be able to be so effective because the other guys are doing their job so well. And then you mentioned, the blue line is so good now after the additions at the trade deadline.
Yeah, and there are a bunch of guys on Yorkton that are, I wouldn't say better than we thought, but just have played really well. Obviously, they're not getting the top D-men against them because of that.
Sure.
But obviously, you think about the year Vinny Junek is having.
Yeah.
He has been dynamite. Like,
so
great
good.
speed.
And
great
every
finishing and tight,
good team that has a top first line needs to have that secondary
Yorkton's
person
scary.
as well.
We're getting to the playoffs. Their depth is scary.
Because how many times in your time in the SJ, which is over more than my time in terms of just quantity, but we've worked in the league about the same amount of years. I've followed the league because my brother played in it, but how often have you seen a team with an elite top line, but they didn't have enough behind them, so they were kind of a middle of the pack? Whereas Yorkton, elite top line, really good secondary group, plus good blue line, plus obviously Callum Craig and Alejandro Montoya. Just a really good overall balance, but with that elite line, just puts them a little bit on a different level than a lot of teams every night.
Yeah, and that's a problem is there's no lines where you can just sort of be like, oh, well.
Right.
And like those, like Austin Horbaczewski and those guys, again, they have a role that they have accepted. It is way easier to accept a role when you're flying as a team.
Sure.
No question.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it's all come really well
Valance
together.
comes to mind too.
Yeah, they got a lot of guys.
They got a good roster. Obviously, it's showing with 9 wins in their last 10 games.
Yep.
You want to move on to Melville Weyburn?
Yeah.
Obviously, divisional matchup there. They played each other the week prior, like 2 days or 3 days before. Weyburn got the big win over Melville, and Melville comes into this one 8-4 win. We'll have a look at the highlights here now. Melville really needed this win, Nugsy, especially just because some of the teams around them were also playing on Monday night, and they got the win. And now there's a log jam, even more than it was coming into this week. In the standings from 6th to 10th place for those final 3 playoff spots. These 5 teams, 2 really solid teams who have put really good efforts in, are going to miss the playoffs. It's kind of heartbreaking, but it's extremely exciting as well. And it's making every game, every day so interesting and so important because there isn't – every game right now seems to be a 4-point game in some capacity. Which is always exciting at this time of year. But Melville gets a big win. They have 2 straight wins now after that one. Weyburn, we'll talk about them as well and where they are right now. But big win for Melville. Maybe let's start there.
Yeah.
And 8 goals, too, for a team that we don't talk about scoring goals very often.
It's been a couple goal fests over the years.
Yeah.
Obviously, we had the game of the week not too long ago between Melville and Weyburn, too, right? And I'm just like, Doug Johnson games, low scoring, low wins, blah, blah, blah. Like, the goals have been flying in when these 2 teams. And I think a part of it is Weyburn's good at getting teams out of the way they want to play, and Melville's good at getting other teams
to play the way they want to play.
Like to break it. So they're both breaking from what they like over different sections of the game.
Yeah.
And that makes more mistakes, and that makes more goals happen. And it's kind of like neither of these teams are canceling each other out. It's just who can kind of hang on. I'm sure both teams are working hard at the penalty kill. After this game, the team scored a combined 8 power play goals in this game. Melville scored 5 power play goals. Rylan Oatman, by the way, who I talk about a lot because he's a wonderful player.
He had a good game.
He hadn't scored in 2026.
Yeah.
Before this game,
Right.
like all month and a half. And so, obviously the skill is tantalizing. Doug talks about him a lot. Just like, when is he going to break out? We'll find out. And when he does, it's going to be a real problem for the league. But they got some pieces there.
Yeah.
And obviously Weyburn didn't quit. It was 4-1 Melville. Weyburn came back, had a big comeback. Obviously Josh Sale, Player of the Week, part of it. Big part of that rallying effort. And it's a thing where this Weyburn team, and I've talked about it under Cody Mapes over his time, is I love their intensity, I love their passion, I love when they go right on that edge, but sometimes they go over the edge and they lose their focus, and that happens. And more often than not, they've been so consistent this year. But this is a game where they let their emotions maybe get the best of them. And Melville took advantage.
And with Weyburn now, yes, they had a really good weekend, but overall, 5 losses in their last 7 games. So I think there's a couple things there that they need to figure out, smooth out. Overall, though, really, like it's been a theme over these struggles that Weyburn has had since, what would you say, early January maybe?
Yeah.
Not struggles, but like not the level we saw them at prior, where I'm still not concerned. I still feel like they're such a strong team.
Yeah.
So I'm not sitting there looking at this last 7 games sample and saying like, oh no. I'm still not saying that. I still feel like they're such a strong team, and it's just a matter of time.
Hopefully, like they don't lose Lucas Schmid for too long. Obviously, he took a big hit in the game too.
Right.
He is such an important player for them in every area.
Yeah.
So
and Nathan Taylor, if anybody saw the hit, has been suspended for a couple of games. So we won't show the hit, but big one.
Anyways.
A little bit dangerous, but anyways, Nathan Taylor 2 games, and like you said, hopefully Lucas Schmidt's not out.
They're going to be hitting the books. They're studying up on killing penalties and stuff, I'm sure.
Watching a couple of YouTube videos, how to kill a penalty. But anyways, big win for Melville, and we'll talk about why. We'll look at the standings in a second here. But the last game on Monday night, Battleford's Kindersley. We'll have a look at that highlight pack now. Battleford's with a 4-2 win. Again, I think they officially clinched the Nutrien division with this win. So congrats again to Battleford.
2 in a row, 3 of the last 4.
Yeah, so they're back to kind of on that good heater that they were on before, where they had won, I think it was like 11 straight games, or points in 11 straight games. It is pretty wild. We talked about this already, so we don't have to go too deep, how Battleford's continuously finds ways to be really, really good every year, despite all the things going on or the turnover that they have. It doesn't seem to really matter. They always find a way to be a pretty elite team, and this year it's pretty wild to see. Like I said, back in November, I didn't give them much of a chance, at least in my own personal mind, so sorry, Battlefords, but Humboldt and Kindersley were just at that point in the year where I was like, it'll be one of those two, I think. And Battleford said, nope, no chance. And they clinched it with 2 weeks to go in the season left, or 3 weeks to go in the season.
Here's a question for you, Clay.
Yeah, question.
Owen Nelson has 5 of his last 6 games, he has multi-point games.
Okay.
And the one game he doesn't have a multi-point game, he didn't get any points.
Okay.
So he's just been en fuego.
Yeah.
So I can't wrap my mind around the Tritt, Miller, Knutson trade, Flynn Fawn, Humboldt. I just can't. It's ridiculous. That trade is just ridiculous.
Sure.
So we'll put that one aside.
Okay.
Other than the
I see where you're going with
Other
this.
than the Owen Nelson deal from Melfort to Battlefords, is there any other trade that's been more impactful, more good of a trade, I guess, for anybody than Battlefords getting Owen Nelson? I mean, he has been so good. Like, is there a trade you put up there with that?
Are we talking about like in season? Because I would go all the way back to the whole Rylan Williams, Dylan Adams trade from the preseason. I think that was pretty important.
Also including Battlefords.
Yeah.
Fair point.
But in terms of like in season, we talked about Gavin Bartha getting acquired. That's been pretty big, but not as big of a sample size.
I would say Nelson's a bigger.
Owen Nelson was earlier this season.
He's been such a good fit.
Bryson Akins has been pretty decent, pretty good for Kindersley and a part of the future there. But I mean, Owen Nelson,
He's in 07 too.
The way that team has exploded since that trade.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been a better one in terms of the timeline of how that trade. Now, remember, right when the first, 10 games or so that Owen Nelson was there, you could look at these numbers, because if you go to his player page on SJHL.ca, I'm sure it'll come up game by game. But I feel like his first 10 games, he didn't really contribute a ton in terms of points. I don't know how the on-ice stuff, the way he was playing, I'm sure was impactful. But it really picked up. He's really exploded.
He scored against Humboldt, his first game.
First game, right?
And then didn't score again until New Year's Eve.
Right. So it was like, it wasn't like
Fair
a
point.
right away where it was like, oh, that's a home run. But since he's really turned it on, and
so consistent. Yeah.
Because of that, I think that's why we're seeing Battlefords have such a balanced attack, because we've seen guys like Owen Nelson, Raiden Zacharias pick it up, Drew Williamson, a lot of names.
Well, there's a new hero every night. Finley Klippenstein, Nardelli. Like, there's so many. Like, we talk about trying to match up against Battleford.
How do you do it?
It's a problem for sure.
Yeah.
I'm such a big Carter Gayson fan. We've talked about that a bunch. Guyson, I think it's Guyson.
It's Guyson, yeah.
But either way, and then obviously Knidig was a star of the month in the CJHL. Anthony Campbell's been so consistent all year.
I mean, Nardelli.
Yeah, just impressed with those group of
really,
guys.
really
Owen
good
Dick
stuff.
leads the league in shot blocks.
Shot blocks. Not blocked shots.
Shots
blocked.
No, he leads the league in blocked shots.
Blocked shots.
Shots blocked.
Shots blocked.
The one where he's the one who stops the puck.
I think
from
shots
going to
blocked is when you take a shot and it gets blocked.
Right.
Blocked shots is when you're the one getting in the way.
Sure. So the one where you get in the way, he scored a goal.
Do you want to tell the snafu that we had?
Basically, I was looking it up and I was trying to find who's one of the leaders in block shots.
Thinking it was going to be Tommy Reese.
Thinking it would be Tommy or Josh Carmen or even Fearson Lindorf is phenomenal at it. He's
Owen Dick, like you just mentioned.
Well, I didn't. Yeah, I guess. But I was like, okay. But I saw Mason Karkachuk up there, who's having a wonderful season. He's 17 points in 8 games. He's been en fuego, and I've talked about how big he is for Nipawin, and I don't mean this as a shot, but I was like, I don't think that's Mason, really. And I was talking to Clark Stork, the Nipawin broadcaster.
Shout out to Clark. Shout out the other one.
And
I'm the other one, technically.
Well, he was like, I don't know about that, man. Like, okay, like I'll talk to Tad, but that doesn't sound right to me. And I was like, yeah, you're right. It doesn't sound right. And so I clicked on it in Instat and took a deeper look, and it was all in the offensive zone. I'm like, all right, never mind, this is wrong. So I was like, it must be the other way around.
It's not a dig at Mason. It's just like, how often do you see a forward leading an entire league?
Maybe Mason doesn't kill penalties for Nipawin and whatever. But I mean, but obviously it was interesting. It made it tough because Tommy Reese is obviously always on the puck, and he shoots a lot of pucks for Yorkton. Yeah. So he does get his shot blocked on occasion, but he's a machine blocking shots. So I was a little confused. You know what? I get a pass because I've got young kids, and my brain is scrambled eggs.
Our guest is in, so let's speed along here. We'll finish up really quickly before we get to Caleb, but. Quickly, speaking of Mason Karkachuk, a Nipawin 8-1 win over L'Orange. Like I mentioned, it was a tight game in the first period, and then it kind of the dam kind of broke loose a little bit, and the scoring kind of happened for Nipawin, and they just kept going. But any thoughts on that game, really quick?
Yeah, I mean, again, it was a tight game first period. Nipawin, amazing that the game happened given the weather.
Given the weather,
everybody was okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nipawin's absolutely in flames, and it's hard to stop them. I guess Estevan did, and guess what? They're going to have a rematch here coming up pretty soon. But the Hawks are healthy and ready to go, and Braden Jockums looks great too. And you go down the list.
Sean Shields,
Eric Hoynes. That line has been magnificent. Eric Hoynes. Defensively even, he's been terrific. He's won a lot of big faceoffs for them as well. So it's all kind of going Nipawin's. Everything in the game there went Nipawin's way. A bit of a tough one for my buddy and yours, Graham Brown. Yeah. But you know what? Time of the year. I did mention to Graham Brown. I sent him a message. I said, your attitude, your competitiveness, your desire to never quit, your leadership has been so exemplary this year. Yeah. in net there for L'Orange, and so he appreciated that. And I did ask Mason Kirkachuk what he's been eating for breakfast lately, and he said, "Oh, nothing special." Like, why? I'm like, "Well, it's working.
Whatever it is, keep it up."
He said his billet dad makes some good food.
Oh yeah,
and he makes some good pasta.
That always helps. We're not going to do our entire second topic, but let's look at the standings at least. We'll save the scoring leaders and all the stats and stuff and some of the news from the league
doctor waiting
a little bit later on in the show. But as you can see here, Flin Flon has clinched a playoff spot. Battlefords has clinched a playoff spot and the Nutrien division, so shout out Battlefords. Flin Flon was 70, Battlefords was 67. Yorkton, 64 points. Again, they've kind of solidified that third spot for now. Nipawin was 62 and Weyburn was 60. So there's still could be some changes there in the home ice advantage spots. We'll see how that all shakes down. And then from 6 to 10 is 2 points. 49, 49, 49, 48, 47. Melville, Estevan, Kindersley, of course, tied with 49. As you can see, though, look on the left side of that. The games played could be the biggest story. Melville has 4 games in hand on Kindersley. Estevan, 2 games in hand on Kindersley. And then below that, Melfort, 3 games in hand on Kindersley, and Humboldt, 2. So we'll see. Of course, as we always say, the big saying is games in hands don't mean anything if you don't win them. So we'll see how that all shakes down. And I know we'll look at the strength of schedule and everything coming up. We'll do that a little later on in the show. But let's have a look at the divisional standings really quickly, because again, we do have a division clinch in the Nutrien. We have Battlefords clinching first place over there. The Bungie division, still pretty wild all season long, it has been, but Yorkton has kind of taken a bit of a cushion of a lead there. Weyburn's not too far behind. Melville's been playing some great hockey. Look at that, points in 8 of their last 10. Estevan got those 2 wins over the weekend. They really needed those. Look at their last 10 games, Nugsy. They really needed those. And then Flin Flon, Nipawin are still tight, so the UPL division's still up for grabs, technically, mathematically. And then Melfort's making a huge push there. So there's a look at the divisional standings. And I think with that, we'll leave it there. We'll do the rest of our stats, numbers, news. We have a couple of commitments to tell you about, maybe a couple of commitments that might be happening. I don't know how much we can really say, but we've heard some good things about some players across the league. So, but with that in mind, let's go to our Success Starts Here alumni interview segment, as we're joined now. I'm really honored, honestly, to be joined by this guy. Kaleb Dahlgren, former Humboldt Bronco, former Notre Dame Hound, author, Dr. Dahlgren.
Motivational speaker.
Yeah, I don't know. I said earlier.
Good dental hygiene.
Great smile.
Survived years of varsity food.
So, Kaleb, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you so much for having me on here, you guys. I truly appreciate it and love listening to the little start before. So happy to be here.
This is great. Now, I think we have to start with, you were just in Milan. So what was your Olympic experience like, I guess?
Yeah, super, super cool. So I had the opportunity to go to the Olympics in Cortina and Milan. And so I wanted to go as a spectator because I'm doing my sport specialty right now as a doctor and chiropractor, which will lead me down that road as being a team therapist. So I was like, let's just try it out. It was incredible. For those who've never been to Olympics, you've got to go at least once. If you're a sports fan, you got to go. I think I sat back and I'm so grateful that I went, just because everybody's rooting for each other. You think you go there and it's super separated and there's one country, another country. It's no, everybody wants everybody to succeed. And you're seeing the best athletes in the entire world competing, leading to their new records, new challenges. You see the Norwegian with 10 plus golds. That's freaking cool. So yeah, amazing experience.
Well, I can tell you, I don't want the American men's or women's hockey teams to win anything. So I'm going to counter what you just said right there.
And that's
Caleb.
Why you're not at the Olympics.
And that's why they won't let me go to the Olympics. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I'm not kidding about not wanting the Americans, but anyway, we'll move on. Obviously, Kaleb, you've talked a lot about what obviously kind of ended your SJHL career. And so we don't need to go too deeply into that because I'm sure you've been interviewed about that so much. But maybe just as sort of on 1.5 to 2 times speed, since, you finished your SJHL career back in 2018, what's a quick breakdown, the Coles notes for people don't know, I guess, what you've been up to since you finished with the SJHL?
Okay, so 2018 was in the crash of the Broncos. Then after that, I went to York University, and I was there for 3 years. And I went to York University 4 months after the crash. Still had injuries. Had a scholarship before the crash, but that led me to York. They honored it, upheld it. So I went there, was with the men's hockey team for 3 years. In my first year, near the end of the season, I got cleared for contact by the university. And then as I was going to start it, I needed to get clearance from the neurologist, and I did not receive clearance due to the head injury that I had suffered. It was a severe traumatic brain injury. It was one of the several injuries I had. And then after that, I took on a role as like recruiting, strength and conditioning, and involved in the community at York extensively. I already was, but like even more so. Then after that, I graduated in 2021, went to Doctor of Chiropractic Studies, became a chiropractor 2025. In that time, did some stints with NHL and Paralympic organizations. So super cool with that. And then I am, pursuing my sports specialist residency right now. And I was actually, when I was at the Olympics, I was watching a couple of my athletes that I have, that I train and support play. And so that was cool. And also seeing some of my friends. So I was there also supporting some other people. But at the same time, today where I'm at, in that gist, I wrote a book in 2021. I started giving speeches in like 2019 on resilience. I was already involved in diabetes community, so I'm still a national ambassador with 2 nonprofit diabetes organizations. So Breakthrough Diabetes and Diabetes Canada. And then I also have my Dahlgren's Diabetes Mentorship Program that I started in 2017 in SJ, and still I'm rocking it today. And a little bit more on my end for sure, but like right now I'm in clinic treating patients, sports population. I'm with 2 teams. I'm with York University as their Director of Performance and Development, and then also with the Markham Majors U16 AAA team, and I am their sports therapist. So that's a little bit of where I'm at right now, what I'm doing. I was just in Victoria, BC, and gave a speech on overcoming adversity, and super cool.
I'm tired just listening to all of that.
Yeah, when was the last time you were bored, Caleb?
I don't know. You know what? For me, I do things that fulfill me as a human being. You know, like I love to help people, and that's kind of where I'm at now.
But when was the last time you were bored?
I don't remember.
It's been a while.
It's as Stained would say. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you're a physiotherapist. Shout out my old buddy Karen Kroback, who I think maybe was one of your instructors. Yes. She's a beauty. Hilarious. She was the athletic therapist for I think both of the OJ championship teams that I was a part of. So and she's a legend. We could have a whole podcast talking about Karen Kroback, but we're not gonna. Yeah. I gotta ask you then. You know, you talked about physiotherapy. Going into that, I guess how's it going, Dr. Caleb? We got to call you Doctor. So Caleb. How is physiotherapy going? Like, how do you have your own practice? You said, are you part of a practice? What's going on?
Yeah, so I'm a sports chiropractor. So a little bit difference between physio and chiro. I'll just quickly go on that one. So chiro is a doctorate program, 4 years of postgraduate or post undergraduate studies, and then physio is 2 years. And in the States, you're a doctor. In Canada, you're not. Just a little differences. We have as a scope as a chiro, X-ray, soon to be MRI, ultrasound, soon to be those 2, and maybe blood work coming in. And we are primary healthcare providers, so you can just come and see us. You don't need a referral. For physio, you need a referral from an MD, and they don't have access to taking imaging. And so just a little bit differences, but what I'm doing right now. So I have a clinic here in Toronto that I'm working for. The other chiropractor there is a sports specialist chiropractor as well. And he's a fellow, so he's already done his whole residency part. And he works with the Detroit Red Wings and the Ottawa Senators, and lots of their athletes will seek him out for private care. So he'll drive to either place and then treat the athletes there. And then we also have a strength and conditioning program in the summer for NHL, AHL, like pro athletes, and then University College, and then also junior as well. So it's super cool. I love it. It's been a blast. And so I'm in Toronto right now. Been there since 2018. A little bit of stint back in Saskatchewan for COVID, and then back out here for schooling. And now I'm kind of looking at other opportunities. Like I was thinking right now, I'm talking to some teams in Europe and potentially looking at the pro route there to help support pro athletes, pro hockey players potentially in Europe, and then maybe the national organization in Europe as well. So just looking at that, maybe even the NHL. Would love to go in the NHL route. So I'm just in talks with a couple of different opportunities, and we're going to see where it takes me. And check back like 4 or 5 months, I'll know a little bit better.
Caleb, when I saw you, I worked with the Estevan Bruins when you were a rookie in Notre Dame. When I saw you as a rookie in Notre Dame, I knew you'd make it to the NHL one day. I said it. This kid's going to the NHL one day.
That's right.
I said it. Now, Caleb, on your book, 5 years already. It's kind of crazy to think that the book has been out for 5 years. About 3 years ago, I was going through some stuff of my own, and I picked up your book one day, and I don't think I've ever read a book faster.
Yeah, same. I had the same thought. Yeah.
Of course, like I was, again, involved with hockey junior. I was working with the Pats when everything happened. I had just worked in the SJHL for 2 seasons, so very close, obviously, everything that happened. But that book was the fastest thing I've ever read. It was start to finish, just crazy, awesome stories. Obviously, amazing accomplishments and feats from not just yourself, everybody involved. So thoughts, I guess, just like looking back, reflecting on the book itself, the experiences you've had, obviously the book tours, I'm sure that you had. I guess some of it was the edge of COVID, so you might have had a little bit of a weird book experience, but talk about the 5 years of Crossroads.
Well, thank you so much for the kind words too, and I really do appreciate that. I've had a lot of people say it's just a fast read. I think it's because I teased the whole crash part for like 8 chapters,
right,
until it kind of led to Humboldt. Trying to like reflect back on it too, and I was like really sitting here and wanted to sit. And the big piece was I wrote it to help people. Like that was the whole intent, was to help other people throughout their challenges, their times. It wasn't to sell copies. It wasn't to be a bestseller. It was literally to help other people. And with that intention is been doing that, and I think that's for me success. That I get messages daily. I still get messages daily about Crossroads and how much it's had an impact on people. I got one today about a person who was extremely depressed and was not in a good headspace whatsoever, and they picked up the book. Now they have a completely different outlook on life, and like that was why I wrote it. And so for me, that's been so beneficial and helpful. And also donating my proceeds to STARS Shock Trauma Air Rescue Service, like. It was the idea was to help people, and it's been able to do that, and that's the end goal. And really grateful for it. I think if you would have said 5 years, even 10 years ago, hey Caleb, like you're going to SJHL, and 10 years later you're going to have a book that's been out for 5 years, I don't think I would have expected that. But obviously, life has a different way of doing different things, and it's just like rolling and making the most out of the life that we have here. And so that was one of the things I wanted to do. And you're right. All my teammates, all of the people have been involved in different ways, organizations. Like even when I was in Notre Dame, so many amazing, great people, and Humboldt, so many amazing, great people. And the book really showcased that. Like I really tried to include so many different individuals who helped build who I was, but also who we all were. And I think, I'm just very grateful for the whole process, grateful for the healing in that journey too. And then also able to kind of put that chapter down as well and be like, hey, you have any questions, read the book.
Yeah, exactly.
And then after that, it's like, hey, like now moving forward, I'm a sports chiropractor. I give speeches on resilience, health optimization, leadership, community. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I don't think I've ever read a book where it talked about games that I broadcasted, and so I was like, I remember all of this, and those 2 games between Indy and Humboldt where like you scored with like almost no time left to tie it, and then you scored, I think, in the shootout, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. Like that, those games were like reading. I was like, man, like this is transporting me right back to like my first 2 games, calling games in the SJ, and I was like, what league is this? Like this is gonna be great. And obviously that your Humboldt team and Indy had like 10 incredible matchups that year. That rivalry was really awesome to take in. So there you go. Obviously, we could talk for forever, so hopefully we don't take up too much of your time here, Caleb. we'll have to have you back on again.
Yeah.
At some point. But
when he makes the NHL.
Well, when you make the NHL.
Yeah.
No pressure. But obviously, and I know for a fact you'd be the first to say this, that of the survivors of the crash, you're not the only one doing things. There seems like there's so many of the guys that are doing so many awesome things. I remember flipping on the Paralympics, I think, in Paris, and it's like Jacob Wasserman. Now I'm like, I know Jacob Wasserman, and then obviously everything that Ryan Strzelnicki is doing, and I think a show is coming out about him trying to be a wheelchair basketball player, and getting to para hockey. I know this is a huge question, but just talk about the pride that you must feel, with all of your brothers, all your teammates there that went through that thing with you, that have kind of used, their experiences and not be stuck there, but kind of moved on too, and done all these awesome things.
100%. It's super inspirational, and it's like we had such an amazing group, and it's shining through as well. And I think that's the cool thing about it, is guys are getting married, guys are having amazing jobs, and like Was going to Paralympics was incredible. And even that in itself, like the feat of going to the Paralympics was amazing. He's an incredible athlete too, and so it's just like it was no brainer. And even Straz will be there for sure. And it's just, you see all these guys doing different things, and it just makes you so proud to be a part of it, and also to cheer them on and root for them. Like, they inspire me, and I hope I inspire them too. And it's like, now we have like X being a doctor here, Xavier LaBelle is going to be a doctor, Matt Gomeric's a physio. So like, all three of us are in the health world too. And it's just like, it's super cool. It's so cool seeing what everyone's doing. And it makes me super happy as well.
Tyler Smith wins Amazing Race Canada.
Amazing Race. And then even like, you could go down the full list of every person, and like everybody's got accolades doing something super cool. And it's just like, it's so fascinating, and it's amazing to see that. And it's awesome to be a support in that journey too.
Yeah, for sure. And one other, just now, obviously, the Logan Boulet effect, the Green Shirt Day. I just saw that's popping up around this time every year. Happens in April. So obviously, the Green Shirt Day. But that's such a cool thing. I still see too, Caleb, like sticks out. I still see people with sticks out on their front steps. Like, there's so many cool things that have come from this. So many positive things.
My parents still have sticks out.
Yeah. So, I'm driving around Regina, Saskatchewan. I still see sticks on front steps. So the amount of cool things from, obviously, of course, you and the survivors, but also just all the positive stuff that has come from it is so great to see. So kudos to you, kudos to everybody. Obviously, I wish we could have them all on to say kudos, but
for sure.
Hopefully they watch and they hear this or listen. And, I guess one thing that I think Nugsy wanted to talk about this, so maybe Nugsy, I'll let you talk about it a little bit more. But
I mean, I just would imagine, and maybe this is me just projecting on you, and you're not the same person as me, and that's great, obviously. But obviously, people have you on shows, and people have you on podcasts, and you're talking, and you're doing this and that, and people want to know all these interesting things, and they're all legitimate, obviously. But I want to talk about Caleb Dahlgren, the hockey player, because I know that you played with, such great passion. You had skill. You were putting up points there with the Battleford Stars AAA, and obviously you got to play with some terrific players, both in Notre Dame. I think about Ben Dupereau. I think about Adam Daw and Chance Longjohn, and the list goes on. And obviously that great Humboldt team. Do you ever think, man, I kind of just want to talk about like my hockey career too? And has that ever been a thought that crossed your mind, that you're like, I'm not just kind of this like talking figurehead dude. I actually was pretty good.
I don't know if I'd say I was pretty good, but I think for me, it was just like, I was really grateful. Hockey was such a big piece of my life, and I do love talking about it. And at the same time, I know there's a lot more to me, but I think the thing that I'm really recognizing this year, especially being a sports therapist, is like, I was helping out some of the guys on the team. Like, I never thought of that, or wow, I never even looked at hockey that way. And it's like, okay, like I still got it a little bit, but yeah, I enjoy it. I love talking about it. I think for me, I definitely like to play a little bit gritty as well. And that was like, when I was with Notre Dame, I was in a shutdown role my first 2 years there, and that was awesome. I loved it. And then in Humboldt, top six, started the season, I got injured, and then I wasn't able to really move my wrist that well. So I played throughout the rest of the season injured and was on a shutdown role again. And it's like, I loved it. I was so grateful for it all. And to play with amazing people, amazing players itself makes it much more fun too and enjoyable. Because like you said, the list goes on. There were some incredible players I've played, and I was able to play with them.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, I'll never forget the SJMG showcase there in 2017-18, watching Logan Schatz play with the kid that they had on Battleford's Young. Logan Young. They were on Lane Young. Pardon me. They were on a line together at the showcase. And I was like, so good.
Yeah, Lane Young. I mean,
Young and Shots were ridiculous
so
together.
Yeah.
And then obviously big rivalry between Battlefords and Humboldt. But anyways, there you go. Last question for you, Caleb, because again, we could fill 75 podcasts talking to you, and we appreciate your time. But this is an SJHL show, and we got to ask you about your time playing in the SJHL and how playing and being here, and obviously everything you learned. Whether it be from Clint, obviously, or Clint Millamock, or Darcy Hagen, the late, great Darcy Hagen, I guess. Just that whole experience of being a player in this league, how did that shape you specifically?
It built resilience, determination, accountability, respect, and also teamwork, community-mindedness. And I think the big thing that people forget about the SJ is we are embedded in a community. And I think both communities I was in with Wilcox and Humboldt were amazing communities in different ways, in different forms. And I loved that part about the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. It gives the players opportunities to grow as a hockey player, but also grow as a community-minded individual and to grow as a human being. And so I had the opportunity with all my coaches to do that. And they gave me the path of how to succeed also away from sport. And I think once sport was taken away from me, I had all these tools in my toolkit from playing this SJHL and from the relationships with my friends and teammates in the SJHL and the communities that when I went out into the real world, it wasn't what am I doing? It's I already got tools that I already know what I'm going to use and utilize to help make this world a better place. And so the SJ did that for me. I wouldn't be as community-minded had I not played where I played or been with the teams I was with. And I wouldn't be the person I am today without that. So the SJ was everything for me, to be honest.
Love that. Well, Caleb, like Nugsy said, we could probably have you on for a couple of days, but we'll leave it there. To appreciate your time today. Keep killing it. Keep doing so much good things. Everyone's rooting for you, and everyone else that you mentioned earlier. Right? We're all rooting for you guys, and we want to keep it up. And again, we'll talk to you when you get to the NHL. How about that?
That's great. All right. See you guys in a year then.
Hey, timelines. You
got to set goals, right?
Yeah, you got to set goals. Yeah. Love it, Caleb. Appreciate it. We'll chat with you soon.
Take care.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks. Bye.
There we go. Caleb Dahlgren, of course, Humboldt Broncos alum, Notre Dame Hounds alum.
Yeah.
All around, as he would call it, what's the diabetician?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, he was a remarkable dude before the crash happened. Obviously, continued to be just so well spoken. And I do think about. I'm so excited, so emotional. Yeah. I just think about kind of in the aftermath of the crash and everything. I think Caleb did an incredible job kind of being kind of a spokesman and a leader amongst leaders of everybody that came out of that, and just such an incredible person, incredible heart, and just so proud of him, and so proud that he wears the SJHL around with him, because he is, he's a world famous person now, and deservedly so. He's worked really hard, and
listen to all the stuff he's involved in.
It's incredible.
Hard.
And honestly, we're not just saying it because he was sitting there. It is an incredible book. Fast, well written, well thought out, emotional. I cried, I laughed, it was incredible. So I find it wherever half decent books to great books are sold, because it's a great book.
Yeah, it's a great one. And I think he even said it, if I remember correctly. It's been a couple years since I've read the book, but he didn't necessarily want to be in that spotlight. Right. I remember him. I feel like he said he didn't necessarily want to be that spokesperson, but it kind of found him, and he's done such a great job at it. So congrats and huge shout out to him, and I can't wait to see where we see him 10 years from now. It's going to be pretty impressive, I think. All right, we have some stuff to kind of wrap up from earlier. And let's start with, I think we did the standings, we did the division standings. Why don't we have a look Well, you know what? Flash the league standings one more time, if you guys don't mind. We'll have a look at the strength of schedule. We'll do that now. So as you can see, here's the one more reminder of where we are at the standings. Flin Flon, Battleford, Yorkton, Nipawin, top 4. Weyburn's right there. And then Melville, Estevan, Kindersley, Melfort, Humboldt. They're all kind of, I'm going to say they're all tied, basically, for the final 3 playoff spots. So Nugsy, I'm going to let you dive into this. Talk to me right now as we sit today, Thursday, before the weekend, of course, the strength of schedule that remains. And this is based on win percentage, not point percentage, as I think the website lists point percentage. So this is separate. This is win percentage. So tell me about how it's looking for these teams the rest of the way here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Warman and Larange are not in it, so you can kind of discount that. But I mean, you look at the road, I guess, for the likes of Melville and Kindersley and Estevan and Melfort, and the teams that are kind of in that battle for those playoff spots have like the toughest schedule. So it's all going to keep it pretty interesting. I mean, it's always going to be interesting for you and I, but I think that was the biggest pattern that jumped out to me. Obviously, Humboldt, Melville, Kindersley, Estevan, Melfort, kind of those 5 teams vying for the last couple of spots, and they're all at the top in terms of difficult schedules the rest of the way. Obviously, this doesn't necessarily take into consideration, the road and whatnot, being on home or away. Estevan is away a lot, for example.
Yeah, right.
But we'll see what happens the rest of the way, because still it's so hard to predict. Like, 1 week to the next, we're high on this team, down on this team. Oh, is it done? This team done now? Oh, no, they're not. It gets been all over the map. So it's going to be entertaining and dramatic the rest of the way.
Yeah, and like you said, it is kind of crazy how the 5 teams that are all fighting for those last 3 spots, they all have the hardest schedules. Yeah. All the top teams right now. Look at it's so interesting that the top teams, and I guess if you think about it, the top teams have the most wins, so they're not going to play themselves. So I guess they'll have to play the teams below them. So I guess it makes mathematical sense in that regard.
Though Battlefords and Flin Flon are coming up here pretty soon.
And
so
it is interesting too. Like I was talking to our graphic director Steven earlier, who helped me shoot some stuff earlier today.
Who's unbelievable.
Great. He is unbelievable. He is unbelievable. It's true.
Yeah.
But we were talking about who plays who kind of near the end of the season. And Humboldt, for example, 4 of their last 5 games are Larange and Warman. But Kindersley is also in that 5 games. So it's like, boy, if Humboldt I think they play like Flin Flon and Battlefords or something in the next 4 games. But their last 5 are I think it's Warman, Kindersley, Larange, or the other way around. But if they can put themselves into a position in those final 5 games where they're close, I mean, that's exactly who you want to be playing if, pushing for a playoff spot. So it's like, it's also like who plays who at what point is also another interesting thing. But we can get into that maybe next week. Well, I think as the schedules diminish, we'll be able to maybe put up a graphic of like the remaining teams that they play, and we'll dive into that a little bit more.
One of those for Humboldt and Battlefords, the game of the month in February is going to be next week coming up as well, and that'll be on that'll be in Humboldt,
right?
The 28th in Humboldt. Battleford's at Humboldt, and that game could have huge implications. Both teams, and the way that Humboldt has been playing well against everybody too. We'll preview that game more, obviously, but
it's going to be fun.
Should be fun.
So there's a look at kind of a glance at the remaining schedule for these teams. And Nugsy, just as a little heads up, and to the guys in the back, if you're paying attention, as we're doing this show, 11 minutes remaining in the 3rd period. Canada's still up 1-0 over Team USA in the gold medal game. So really exciting stuff there. Let's have a look at the scoring leaders. It is exciting. Thank you. Ewan Rennie has got his spot still right there with Gabriel Courchain, but with his weekend, of course, and the start of this week, he's right back at the top. Gabriel Courchain, Jai Zawatsky right behind him, or tied, I guess, in Gabe's case. William Leonard has secured 4th. Him and Riley Williams have kind of been tied, it feels like, for a couple weeks. Leonard has a 1-point advantage now. Williams with 58, Josh Knitting and Anthony Campbell there. I'm curious, depending on how they do the rest of the year, if they can maybe sneak up and get into that 4-5 conversation as well. It's going to be tough because those guys above them do not ever not score in a game, it seems. So we'll have to see. Eric Hoynes, holy cow, I think his season is maybe something that somebody will study one day. The slow start and how fast he's reached top 8 is crazy. Crazy stuff at Nipawin.
I just think that there's something to be said for sticking with combinations through thick and thin. It is a long season. And I think maybe one thing that maybe coaches have learned this year is you don't need to juggle your lines as much. I know that's a way that coaches feel they can impact the game.
Right, sure.
It's got to be. I'm not telling coaches how to coach. I'm just saying there's something to be said for keeping combos together, like Corshane with his group together. No matter what, they lose, they're still back together.
Yeah, and I mean, 95% of the season so far, pretty much, it's been Rennie, Williams, and Olsen.
Yeah, a lot of them. They've chuck and shaken that up during
they
the
have a little bit
streak lately,
but yeah. And like you mentioned, the Battleford's guys, Knitting and Campbell, about 85% of the season they've been together. They shook it up a little bit there too, but for the most part, it's been the two of them. And it seems to be working. So big stuff going on there on the scoring leaders. Let's have a look at the goaltenders. There's a new name. Number 3, Brady Holtvogt has jumped into the qualifications to reach this list. So he is now in there. And one guy who's not on this list, who has only played 13 games, is Matthew Spencer Dahl, Nugsy. 929 save percentage. So he would be second place in the league, but he hasn't played as many games as everybody else, so he's not qualified. Who was the other one? Finn Werner was the other one. I think he had like a 917 or something like. What was the number? I'll just look it up because I had it earlier. 927. Matthew Spencer Dahl is a 929. So they just haven't played enough games to qualify. So they should be on this list. They just aren't for that reason. But Nathan Cam, he's been so good. He's in there. Colton Scott, the Nipawin connection. Gage Roberts, Colton Scott, they've been so good. Matthias Radke. And Brett O'Halloran has a 912. So he's technically tied for the top 10. So the Kindersley Clippers goaltending duo, they've been so good together all year. Caden Serpa has been so impressive. All these guys, really. But Brady Holtvogt, he's the new name that's qualified. So I thought I'd give him a big shout out. And the other two guys that just haven't played enough games, Nugsy. So there's your look at the leaderboards for the goalies. I'll let you run away with the face-off forces.
Yeah, new name in there, Jack Jansen.
There you go.
And I kind of limited this actually to 500 face-offs now. So
Anthony Campbell, of course, Battleford's North Stars legend.
But anyways, it's obviously Lucas has been there all year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I cut it off a little bit more face-offs.
Okay.
Just because some guys have been really not playing that much center.
Sure.
Though, like what was listed on a center on a roster sheet isn't always indicative of who's taking face-offs because. Guys will put the hot hand, and even players will say to each other, "Hey, I'm going to take, or you take this one. I don't feel good," or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
That happens. But Nathaniel Harvey, obviously he's been really impactful. And I also think too, like, Melfort has been much better late in games situationally, and not just Tristan Zayola taking the big face-offs, but actually I think Zayden Saddlemeyer has been taking kind of even more of Melfort's bigger face-offs these days. And Jack Jansen, just a gritty role, penalty killing role. Again, that's the thing about the Nipawin Hawks is if you want to have ice time, you just need to do what Tad Kozin tells you. Like, you need to follow the game plan, and you need to play your role really well because there's a lot of options for Tad Kozin.
Yeah.
Looks down the bench and says, who's going out right now? Obviously, Hoynes and Karkachuk, that's, a unit. And as they're healthy, they just look at their 3 top lines, and it's just so stacked. It's just like, oh.
Yeah.
So, you got Jockums on one line. You got, Brendan Olsen on one line. It's bananas. And the playoffs are just going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
Because there's just not going to be there's going to be a lot of guys who are fresh because these teams are really deep this year. I think a lot of teams in the last couple of years were kind of really relied on that top line or that that line and a half, that 2 lines. I think obviously you always try to be deep, but everybody is the top half of our league especially is just wildly deep this year.
If the season ended today, Flin Flon would play Kindersley, Battleford's Estevan, Yorkton, Melville, Nipawin, Weyburn. Oh man,
Yeah.
every matchup is so good.
Nipawin
But
and Maybert have played a bunch lately against each other, and they've been electric.
yeah,
So.
it's been really good. Okay, some news.
Yeah.
Topic number 3, technically, of our hat trick. Some news. We got some commitments.
Last
this
but
is
not
great
least.
news.
Last but not least. Also in that gold medal game we keep talking about, Sienna Murray is reffing.
Yep.
So shout out Sienna.
Yep.
Michelle McKenzie did the quarterfinal between, what did I say?
Mackenzie.
Oh, McKenna, yeah, sorry. Michelle McKenna. Did the
Formerly
Czechia
Michelle
Sweden,
Stapleton, who I went to elementary school with.
there
Shout out
you go.
Michelle.
Shout out, so she did the Czechia Sweden quarterfinal, I believe, as well, among other games, obviously, in the group stage. And Alex Clark did the bronze medal game earlier today that Switzerland won. So
Switzerland. Shout out Switzerland.
Shout out, except for Miriam Neugebauer.
Yeah, don't tell your kid because she's going to hate
the Swiss
that.
are having a good Olympics. Anyway, so kudos to them. But big time kudos. And I expect a lot of commitments going to be coming down the pipe. That's because when U Sports starts announcing commitments.
Yeah.
But the University of Regina dipping back in. Trevor Keeper, obviously, he's been in the ranks. He's been paying attention. The coach of the U of R. He's committed to Ryland
Loves
Pierce.
SJ kids.
Loves SJ kids. Yeah.
Yes,
he
sir.
committed to Ryland Pierce, the defenseman for the Weyburn Red Wings, and Noah Asmundson. Of course, his dad was also a U of R Cougar, and the Estevan Bruins forward, Noah Asmundson. And one of the things, when I watch this, when I watch the U of R Cougars closely, it's not the lack of compete, it's not the lack of heaviness, it's not the lack of even speed. It's they get a chance and they don't finish. Like, they just can't score. What do we know about Noah Asmundson? He'll bury his chances. He gets them. He
has
buries.
been all year.
And again, similar to like my old buddy Cole Warren too. I think his role will continue to grow because he's a guy that needs kind of one chance to finish, and they've kind of had that trouble for the U of R. So, I think it's a good fits. Obviously, Noah's a big boy, 6'3", 200, as well. So you got to be a little bit heavy. And Ryland's not a tall guy, but he is thick. He's 5'9", maybe 5'9", 195.
There they are.
So just because he's not tall doesn't mean he's not heavy. So these are two heavier guys, and I think that's what U Sports guys kind of tend to look for, is guys that can kind of play a heavier game or find a way, like Jaron Denoy. He's always found a way, even though he's not the biggest guy. But and they love Jaron there too.
Well, for those who don't know, Trevor Keeper was at Red Deer Polytech for a really long time, right?
Yeah, 3 years.
And all he did was recruit SJ kids and win championship after championship.
Back to back SJHL ACAC champions.
So I mean, maybe he knows something.
Well, yeah,
smart
they're
guy,
winners.
smart
They're
guy.
winners.
That Trevor Keeper. I've always said it.
But there's going to be a whole rash of U Sports.
Yeah, it sounds like
coming up
there's
here
more
soon,
coming.
so.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for some more, because it sounds like, I think we've heard rumblings of 2 to 3 more coming soon, at least.
There's going to be,
and there'll be more after that.
I talked to a coach in our league. He expects at least 5 or 6 of his guys to be U Sports commits.
There you go.
And it's going to be...
It'll be a slew of them
We're going to
coming
talk
soon.
about.
So big news. That's awesome. All right, look ahead at the weekend. We got 3 days of games coming up, so let's have a look. Friday, Battle of the Black and Gold reignites. Estevan's going to be in Nipawin. Humboldt in Yorkton for the Dog and Pony Show. The only one left after the Notre Dame Hounds have been not in the league anymore.
Are they?
Notre Dame?
I just learned this right now.
Yeah, it's brand new. Just came out.
Didn't know that.
Speaking of them, the Warman Wolverines will be in Battlefords to take on the North Stars. Melville takes on Flin Flon. This Nugsy, potentially the Melville Flin Flon series, because they play 2 games there, could be, the way things are lining up, a first-round preview of the playoffs, potentially. The Weyburn Red Wings will be in Kindersley for a 2-game set, I believe, and then Larange in Melfort. And then on Saturday, so that was a Super Friday, so all 12 teams are in action on Friday. On Saturday, Humboldt will be in Nipawin, Melville stays in Flin Flon, Weyburn stays in Kindersley, Melfort and Larange do a flip-flop for a home-and-home series, and then Estevan continues their busy weekend, 3 games in 3 days, in Warman. And then on Sunday, as you can see, again, Estevan 3 games in 3 days. They'll be in Battlefords to wrap up their weekend. Now, I think that game starts at 4, I want to say. So just make note of that. But either way, big weekend coming up, Nugsy. What's on your mind outside of Olympic gold medal games and semifinals and all the other things?
Yeah, I mean, obviously so much, but the Estevan Bruins keep being out on the road.
Right.
Keep this good feeling going. I spoke to Ethan Andrews a little bit, and he said, "Yeah, we feel better for sure, but we got to turn this into a run. Like it it can't be enough. Obviously, the Nipawin Hawks, I'm sure, will be chomping at the bit on Friday to get some revenge on Estevan. So
Yeah, big weekend.
Black and gold.
Nipawin, Warm, and
battle.
Battleford. So
Yeah, the black and gold battle, and then obviously Estevan and Battleford's at 4 is what you said there is right.
Yeah.
That'll be a heck of a matchup too. So
Right,
there
exactly.
you go. The Ryland Williams returns again show.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be keeping an eye on that for sure. I think the Flin Flon 2 games at home.
Yeah.
We got to keep an eye on that home record.
If someone had a nickel for every time Doug Johnson and Mike Reagan squared off in an SJHL game,
You'd have several
you'd have
nickels.
many
You'd have
nickels.
a bag of nickels. Remember 5-cent candies? Oh, man.
I love candy.
Not in this economy.
surprise.
All right. Well, we'll have you all covered for all the coverage, all the reaction, all the results on all of our social media channels. So give us a follow each and every place: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Get your Flow Hockey subscription. Subscribe to us on YouTube for all the highlight packs. We'll be back with you on Monday to recap everything that happens over the next 3 days, and we'll be joined by a special guest. I don't think we've locked that down yet, but we'll figure that out over the course of the weekend. So a lot coming up. As we talked about, the playoff picture is changing every single day, so you cannot take a day off of taking a look at sjhl.ca in the morning to see how everything has changed. So make sure you bookmark it. Make sure you keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on that standings tab, because it's a really interesting race this year. For Clark Munroe here, Jamie Neugebauer, huge thank you to Caleb Dahlgren, Jordan and Steven in the back, and Kelly Lewick, of course, our graphics designer, for making all the stuff you look at look pretty. Appreciate you all. Appreciate you all for watching. There's, what did I say, 10 games this weekend? So a lot to keep an eye on. Or no, 12 games this weekend. So a lot to keep an eye on. A lot to get your tickets for. Go out to the rinks and enjoy it. It's going to be a great weekend of hockey with the Olympic finals as well coming up. So enjoy it all, everybody, and we'll see you on Monday. Bye for now.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?